Imagine this for a moment. A single quarter, not gold, not ancient, not locked in a museum. A quarter that looks ordinary, feels ordinary, spends like 25 cents. Yet today, in the right condition, this exact quarter has been valued at $1.8 million. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people who touched it, spent it. Welcome back to the channel where hidden money meets real opportunity. Today we are uncovering the true story of the 2016 Fort Moultrie quarter dollar and why this modern coin has become one of the most dangerous coins to ignore in American pocket change. Stay with me, because by the end of this video you will know why collectors are desperate for this coin, why most Americans already missed it, and how one small detail could be the difference between financial freedom and lifelong regret. And yes, I will show you exactly what to look for. In 2016, the United States Mint released the Fort Moultrie quarter as part of the America the Beautiful series. It honored a historic coastal fort in South Carolina. A stronghold. A symbol of resistance. A place that changed American history. The coin entered circulation quietly. No hyped. No headlines. No warning. People tossed it into tip jars, dropped it into parking meters, spent it on coffee. Even collectors shrugged. Millions were minted at the Philadelphia Mint. And when people hear millions minted, they assume worthless. That assumption is exactly why this story becomes terrifying. Because value in coin collecting is not about how many were made. It is about how many survived correctly. And this is where everything changes. Deep inside a small batch of 2016 Fort Moultrie quarters, something went catastrophically wrong. And when something goes wrong at the Mint, history is made. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever rushed a job and missed something important? That is exactly what happened at the Philadelphia Mint. During production, a rare and extreme minting error occurred. A combination of die preparation failure, pressure, misalignment, and metal flow distortion. The result: coins that should never have left the building. These quarters display features so dramatic that professional graders initially questioned whether they were real. Here is what makes them special: severe double die obverse details, especially visible on Liberty, and In God We Trust extreme die cracks running through the design, like lightning frozen in metal off-center strikes, combined with partial collar errors, abnormal thickness, and weight variance far outside acceptable tolerances. And in the most valuable examples, a ghosted secondary image beneath Washington's profile. Coins like this are not supposed to exist, and when they do, they are usually destroyed. But a few slipped through, and those few changed lives. Point one confirmed example graded at the highest mint error tier, sold privately for $1.8 million. Not at auction, quietly, quickly. Because when ultra-wealthy collectors want something rare, they do not wait. And here is the part that should make your stomach drop. Experts believe more examples are still out there, possibly sitting in old change jars, estate collections, inherited boxes no one bothered to open, or worse, already spent at face value. Let me pause here with something uncomfortable. If this coin passed through your hands and you never checked it, you will never know. And that uncertainty is what drives serious collectors insane. Now let me show you how to protect yourself from that regret. First, confirm the basics. The year must be 2016. The mint mark must be P. The reverse must show Fort Moultrie. No, P means stop, and O Fort Moultrie means stop. Now the real test begins. Hold the coin under strong light. Slowly tilt it. Look at Washington's face. The DOUC doubling on the eye or jawline. Look at the word Liberty. Is it clean, or does it look slightly echo? Check the RIM. Is it perfectly round or subtly distorted? Now weigh it. A digital scale matters here. Any significant deviation from standard quarter weight is a red flag in the best possible way. Finally, listen to your instincts. Collectors who found these coins all said the same thing: just looked wrong. Wrong can mean life-changing. But here is the cliffhanger most people miss. Even if you find one, most people destroy its value by handling it incorrectly, cleaning it, polishing it, dropping it. That one mistake can turn $1.8 million into 25 cents. If you suspect you have honest, stop touching it. Place it in a protective holder and consult a professional grading service immediately. This is not a coin you show your neighbor. This is a coin you treat like a winning lottery ticket. Here is the truth few channels will tell you: modern coins are the new gold rush. Baby boomers are liquidating collections. Wealthy buyers are hoarding rare errors. And the window to find circulation survivors is closing fast. Every year that passes, more of these coins are damaged, lost, or removed permanently from circulation, which means the value of surviving examples keeps climbing. Fear creates hesitation. Excitement creates action. The people who win in coin collecting are not lucky. They are informed. And today you are informed. So before you dismiss your spare change, before you roll those quarters, before you spend that Fort Moultrie coin, without looking, remember this: history does not announce itself. Wealth hides quietly. And sometimes a quarter really is worth $1 million. If you want more stories like this, more hidden coins, more real chances at life-changing discovery, stay right here. Imagine this for a moment. Somewhere in America, right now, a small silver coin is sitting quietly in a jar, a drawer, or an old coffee can. It does not sparkle. It does not scream for attention. And yet, this single Washington quarter could be worth up to $1.9 million. Not someday. Not in theory. Right now. Most people walk past it every day without knowing what they are holding. And that is exactly why this story matters. Because the 1983 Washington quarter-dollar coin is not just a piece of pocket change. It is a silent financial opportunity hiding in plain sight. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Every year, coins like this disappear forever. They get spent, they get damaged, they get lost. Which means time is not on your side. Before we go any further, let me ask you a simple question. When was the last time you actually looked at the change in your hand instead of tossing it into your pocket? If your answer is "I do not remember," you are not alone. And that is exactly how million-dollar coins slip through the cracks. Today, we are uncovering why the 1983 Washington quarter has stunned collectors, shocked auction houses, and quietly created life-changing wealth for those who knew what to look for. Stay with me. Because the detail most people overlook is the very thing that determines whether your coin is worth 25 cents or nearly $2 million. To understand why this quarter matters, we need to go back to 1983. America was in a strange moment. Inflation had shaken confidence. The U.S. Mint was cutting costs, and quality control was not exactly the priority it should have been. In 1983, no official mint sets were produced. That single fact alone changed everything. Coins from this year were struck primarily for circulation, meaning most were handled roughly from day one. Few survived in pristine condition. Fewer still escaped unnoticed errors, weak strikes, or extraordinary preservation. Now add the Philadelphia Mint into the picture. The P Mint mark signifies Philadelphia production. But here is where things get interesting. Some of the most valuable 1983 quarters show signs of exceptional strike quality, nearly flawless surfaces, and characteristics so rare that professional graders struggled to believe them at first. This is where excitement starts to build. A quarter that survives 40 years without wear is already rare. A quarter that survives with near-perfect details is extraordinary. A quarter that combines condition rarity with production anomalies becomes legendary. And yes, those legendary examples are the ones reaching market values up to $1.9 million. Now let me pause for a second and lighten the mood. If you are thinking, "I have been using quarters to unlock shopping carts for decades," you are not alone. Some of the most valuable coins ever discovered were almost spent on soda machines. Funny and painful. Back to the facts. Collectors look for very specific traits on these quarters: sharp lettering, strong hair detail on Washington, clean fields with minimal marks, perfect alignment, and in some cases, subtle minting irregularities that separate ordinary coins from historic treasures. This is where urgency comes in, because the longer these coins sit unnoticed, the more likely they are to suffer damage. A single scratch can erase hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. And here is the cliffhanger. There is one detail on the 1983 quarter that most people never check. Yet it is the exact feature graders examine. First, we will get to that in just a moment. Before revealing that final detail, let us talk about what this coin represents. This is not just about money. This is about awareness. There are two types of people in the world: those who spend coins without thinking, and those who understand that knowledge turns ordinary objects into extraordinary assets. The 1983 Washington quarter has already changed lives. Quietly, without headlines, without warning, collectors who recognized its potential early did not wait. They authenticated, they graded, they positioned their coins for serious buyers. And that brings us to the most critical moment in this story. The detail graders look for first is overall condition combined with strike sharpness, especially on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Weak strikes are common in 1983. Strong strikes are rare. Exceptionally strong strikes are nearly unheard of. If your quarter shows bold detail where others fade, your heart should start beating a little faster, because that is the line between average and extraordinary. Now imagine the fear of discovering too late that you once owned a coin worth millions. That fear is real, and it happens every day. But excitement is real too. So is opportunity. The market value of top-tier examples has climbed steadily, and serious buyers are always watching. They are not looking for hype. They are looking for precision. If you suspect you own one of these quarters, the next step is crucial. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not show it off at the kitchen table. Professional grading and authentication is the gateway between curiosity and life-changing wealth. And here is the final truth. The wealthy lifestyle many people dream about does not always begin with stocks or real estate. Sometimes it begins with awareness, with education, with a single moment where you decide to look closer instead of looking away. So tonight, before you sleep, open that drawer, check that jar, examine that old roll of quarters you have ignored for years, because somewhere in America, someone is holding a 1983 P Washington quarter worth nearly $1.9 million. And it might be you. If this video opened your eyes, stay connected. There are more coins, more hidden stories, and more opportunities most people will never see. And remember, fortune favors the informed. Imagine this for a moment. A single quarter, not gold, not ancient, not buried in a chest. Just a simple U.S. quarter that may have passed through your hands 100 times without a second glance. Now imagine that same quarter carrying a price tag close to $1 million. That disbelief you feel right now is exactly why most people miss life-changing opportunities. Because the greatest wealth secrets rarely look exciting at first glance. Today, I am going to reveal the hidden truth behind the 2006 P Mint Mark North Dakota $quarter coin. A coin many Americans still have sitting in jars, drawers, glove compartments, and old coffee cans. And by the end of this video, you will never look at your pocket change the same way again. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Somewhere in the United States, someone unknowingly spent a coin that could have paid off a house, funded retirement, or changed their family legacy forever. Do not let that someone be you. Stay with me, because what you are about to learn could protect you from making a mistake that lasts a lifetime. And let me ask you something before we go any further. When was the last time you actually looked at your quarters instead of just spending them? To understand why this coin matters so much, we have to go back to where it all began. Not to Wall Street, not to Silicon Valley, but to a windswept American landscape where history, error, and opportunity collided. In 2006, the United States Mint released the North Dakota State Quarter as part of the wildly popular 50 state quarters program. Millions were minted, and that is exactly why nobody paid attention. The coin features two American bison grazing under a blazing western sun, with rugged lands stretching endlessly behind them. It looks ordinary, too ordinary. But here is the twist that separates pocket change from powerhouse wealth. Not all 2006 P North Dakota quarters are the same. Some were struck under conditions that should never have happened. Minting pressure anomalies, die alignment issues, surface inconsistencies. Invisible to the untrained eye, errors that slipped past quality control at the Philadelphia Mint. And when rarity meets demand, value explodes. Now here is where fear should kick in just a little. Because most people clean coins. Most people scratch coins. Most people toss coins into jars where metal grinds against metal for years. Every careless moment destroys value. One tiny scratch can mean the difference between thousands and millions. If you have ever wiped a coin with a cloth thinking you were helping it, you might want to sit down for this part. Collectors do not pay for shiny. They pay for untouched history and the rarest high-grade examples of this coin, especially those with extreme mint errors and near-perfect preservation, have been valued as high as $1 million in private collector markets. A quarter you could buy a soda with is capable of buying freedom. Now here is something that will reset your attention. If quarters were people, this one would be the quiet guy at the party who turns out to own the building. No flashy entrance, no loud announcement. How do you know if you are holding something extraordinary instead of ordinary? This is where excitement meets urgency. First, look for the P Mint mark located on the obverse side of the coin, near Washington's portrait, Philadelphia mint coins are often overlooked because people assume rare coins must come from small mints. That assumption has cost people fortunes. Next, examine the strike quality. High-value examples often show unusually sharp details in the bison's fur and the sun rays. Now here is the cliffhanger. Some of the most valuable examples do not look perfect at first glance. They look wrong. Offset strikes, doubling, metal flow lines. Errors that look like mistakes to amateurs but look like masterpieces to collectors. If something feels off about the coin, that is not a reason to ignore it. That is a reason to investigate deeper. And whatever you do, do not clean it. I repeat, do not clean it. Cleaning a rare coin is like sanding a diamond because it looks dusty. Now let us talk about something most people never consider until it is too late. Right now, elite collectors are not hunting just for old coins. They are hunting for modern rarities because wealthy collectors want pieces that represent overlooked moments in American history, coins that everyone ignored, coins that prove insight beats luck. The current high in-market valuation for exceptional 2006 P North Dakota quarter-era specimens has reached up to $1 million. That is not hype. That is demand colliding with scarcity. And here is the urgency. As more people become educated, fewer undiscovered examples remain. Every year that passes reduces the odds. Every viral video tightens the market. You are either early or you are too late. There is no middle ground in rare coin collecting. Now comes the moment where inspiration meets action. Right now, somewhere in your home, there may be a coin waiting for recognition, not begging, not glowing, just waiting. And the question is not whether valuable coins exist. The question is whether you are prepared to recognize them before someone else does. Fear should be whispering to you right now. Fear of spending something priceless. Fear of ignoring opportunity. But excitement should be louder. Excitement that wealth does not always require risk, debt, or luck. Sometimes it requires attention. This is how wealthy collectors think. They slow down. They observe. They investigate before they spend. And here is the final cliffhanger. Some of the most valuable coin discoveries were made by people who were not collectors at all. They were people who decided to look twice at SO before you dismiss your spare change tonight. Remember this. History does not announce itself. It hides. And those who find it first live differently forever. If you want to protect your future, your family, and your legacy, start by protecting what is already in your hands. But sometimes wealth looks like a small silver coin quietly sitting at the bottom of a junk drawer. What if I told you that one ordinary-looking Washington quarter minted in 1981 has sold for as much as $1.1 million? And what if I told you that thousands of Americans have already touched this coin without realizing what they were holding? Before you dismiss this, ask yourself one uncomfortable question. When was the last time you actually looked at the coins in your house? Because the difference between financial stress and financial freedom might be hiding in plain sight. Stay with me because by the end of this video you will know exactly why the 1981 P Washington quarter has become one of the most powerful sleeper coins in American numismatics. And more importantly, you will know how to recognize it before someone else does. Act 1. The coin nobody took seriously in 1981 America was distracted. Interest rates were high, the economy was uncertain, and most people were just trying to get by. The U.S. Mint was doing its job, quietly producing coins that looked no different from the millions that came before. Washington quarters rolled off the presses used for parking meters, vending machines, and coffee runs. Nothing about them looked special. And that is exactly why history missed the warning signs. Here is what most people do not realize. The early 1980s marked a turning point in U.S. coin production. Mint quality control, changed metal sourcing changed, and subtle minting inconsistencies started appearing. Most of these coins were spent immediately, never saved, never protected, never examined. And the 1981 Philadelphia Mint quarter was one of them. In Mint mark no fanfarino one, setting them aside for the future. Just another quarter until it wasn't. Because hidden inside a very small number of these coins was a combination of factorso rariso extreme that collectors decades later would call Ito once in a generation discovery. And here is the part that should make you uncomfortable. These coins were not pulled from bank vaults or museum collections. They were found in circulation in personal collections, in estate boxes, and sometimes in jars that sat untouched for 40 years. If that does not get your attention this well, some experts believe there are still undiscovered examples out there today. Act 2, why this quarter can be worth $1.1 million. Now, let's talk about value, because coins do not reach seven figures by accident. The 1981 Washington quarter that commands massive price is not valuable because of age. Alone.it is valuable because of precision, condition, and rarity colliding at exactly the right moment. First condition. Most quarters from 1981 are heavily worn. They were used, hard, spent, fast, and forgotten. But a microscopic number survived in nearly perfect condition. That we are talking about coins graded at the absolute top of the scale. Mint state, full strike, razor sharp, details, original luster intact. Coins like this are not just rare, they are statistical miracles. Second, strike quality. Some 1981 quarters show exceptionally strong strikes with unusually sharp lettering, bold hair detail on Washington, and crisp eagle features on the reverse. This level of strike quality was not normal for the time. Collectors pay premiums for perfection, and perfection from 1981 is almost non-existent. Third, timing. Here is where psychology meets money. As modern coin collecting exploded, wealthy collectors began hunting not just ancient coins but modern sleepers. Coins everyone ignored until auction results shocked the market. When a top-graded 1981 quarter appeared with everything a lignegrity, appeal, and scarcity, a bidding became aggressive. Collectors were not buying metal. They were buying the idea that they owned something almost no one else could ever have. And when that happens, prices stop being logical. They become emotional. That is how coins break records. That is how a quarter becomes a $1.1 million asset. Quick reality check. If you found one of these coins tomorrow, would you even recognize it, or would you spend it on coffee? Most people would spend it. Not be most people. Act 3, how to identify the coin that could change your life. Now, we get practical. Because inspiration without action is just entertainment. If you are serious about changing your financial future, you need to know exactly what to look for. Start with the basics. The coin must be a 1981 Washington quarter from the Philadelphia Mint, meaning no mint mark. Check the date careful. Not assume, verify. Next, look at condition. This is where most coins fail. If the coin shows heavy wear, flat details, or dull surface, it is not the one that you are looking for. Sharp detail, clean edges, strong luster, and no major damage. Third, details matter. Examine Washington's hair, the lettering, and the eagle on the reverse. The more defined and bold, the better. If your heart starts beating faster, that is a good sign. But do not get ahead of yourself. Here is the most important step, and the one most people skip. Professional grading. A coin is not worth millions because someone feels like it is. It must be authenticated and graded by a respected grading service. This step separates dreams from reality. And yes, grading costs money, but compare that to what you are protecting. Would you hesitate to insure a winning lottery ticket? Exactly. Now here is the cliffhanger most people miss. Even coins that do not reach the $1 million level can still be worth thousands or tens of thousands if they meet certain criteria. Meaning the upside is real even if you are not holding the unicorn. Final thoughts, why this matters right nowhere is the uncomfortable truth. Every year more of these coins disappear. They get damaged, lost, or destroyed. Every year the number of top-quality survivors shrinks. And every year demand from wealthy collectors grows. This is not speculation. This is supply and demand playing out in slow motion. You do not need to be rich to start. You need to be aware. Check your change, check old collections, check inherited coins, because wealth does not always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers, and sometimes it sounds exactly like a quarter dropping onto a table waiting for someone smart and not to listen. Because the next coin we talk about might already be in your house and its value might be even higher. And that is how fortunes are quietly made. Stay with me, because today we are uncovering one of the most misunderstood modern treasures in American coin collecting history. A coin most people have already spent without a second thought. A coin that looks ordinary, feels ordinary, and yet has shocked seasoned collectors around the country. This is the 1999 Pennsylvania $quarter coin. And yes, some verified examples have reached a current market value of $1.2 million. That reaction right there is exactly why these coins continue to hide in plain sight. This video could permanently change the way you look at your spare change, and possibly your financial future. So do not blink, do not skip ahead. Because the details we cover today separate the coin's worth face value from the ones that can fund an entirely new lifestyle. Back in 1999, The United States Mint launched the 50-state quarters program. It was historic, it was patriotic, and it was wildly popular. Pennsylvania was one of the very first states. Released. Millions of Americans saved these quarters, spent them, ignored them, and moved on. But while the public focused on collecting full maps of the United States, something far more valuable was quietly happening inside the minting process itself. Mistakes were being made, rare variations were being created, and a handful of quarters slipped through that should never have existed. Here is where fear and opportunity collide. Because most people still believe modern coins cannot be valuable, that belief alone has cost Americans millions of dollars. Let me share a quick thought that might sting a little. Every year, people unknowingly spend coins that could have paid off their mortgage. Pause on that. Now imagine discovering too late that the quarter you used for a vending machine was actually worth more than your retirement fund. That is not exaggeration. That is documented reality. What makes a simple 1999 Pennsylvania quarter explode in value while others remain worth just 25 cents? The answer is not what most people expect. And the first key detail is hiding right in front of your eyes. Let us slow this down and look at what truly matters. The mint mark. The 1999 Pennsylvania quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. That alone does not make it rare. What makes certain examples priceless are extreme minting errors, die varieties, and preservation conditions that were never meant to exist. Here is where excitement begins to build. Some of these quarters feature dramatic, doubled dies. Others show off center strikes, so precise they defy explanation. A few display die cracks and die breaks that resemble lightning frozen in metal. And then there are the transitional anomalies, coins struck during equipment changes or pressure misalignments. These are the coins collectors fight over. Now here is a pattern interrupt for you. If coins could talk, these ones would probably say, "Please stop spinning me at the gas station." But let us get serious again. The difference between a common coin and a $1 million coin often comes down to microscopic details that most people never look for. And that creates urgency, because these coins are still out there. They are still being found in rolls, estate collections, old jars, and forgotten drawers. The real danger is not missing out. The real danger is ignorance. Now that you understand why these quarters can be valuable, we need to talk about what separates a valuable coin from a life-changing one. Condition. This is where fear sneaks in again, because many people damage their own coins without realizing it. Cleaning a coin, even gently, can erase hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. Touching the surface with bare fingers can permanently alter its grade. Storing it improperly can destroy its future. Coins that reach seven-figure prices are often graded at the highest levels by professional grading services. They are pristine. They are original. They are untouched by well-meaning hands. Here is the uncomfortable truth. You do not get a second chance to preserve a rare coin. One wrong move, and the dream disappears. This next section could be the most important information you have ever heard. Now we enter the final act. This is where knowledge turns into power. Take out any 1999 Pennsylvania quarters you have. Do not clean them. Do not polish them. Just observe. Look closely at Washington's profile. Check for doubling around the letters. Inspect the date. Examine the rims. Turn the coin over. Look at the state outline. Study the lettering. Errors often hide where no one thinks to look. If something feels off, unusual, or imperfect, that is where value begins. And here is the moment of inspiration. People who find $1 million coins are not special. They are observant. They are patient. They are willing to look twice when everyone else looks once. Now imagine the lifestyle shift. Selling a verified rare quarter could mean freedom from debt, security for your family, options instead of obligations. That is why collectors take this seriously. That is why auction houses exist. And that is why the market value of these extreme examples has climbed to $1.2 million. Because rarity plus demand equals power. Let me ask you another question. If you had the chance to change your financial trajectory by simply learning what to look for, would you take it? Or would you assume it cannot happen to you? History favors the prepared. And coin collecting is not about luck. It is about awareness. ACT3 in the 1999 Pennsylvania quarter is no longer just a coin. It is a symbol. A reminder that wealth does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers from the bottom of a drawer. Your next step is simple but critical. Educate yourself. Handle your coins carefully. Seek professional evaluation when something stands out, and never underestimate the ordinary, because ordinary objects have changed lives before, and they will do it again. Stay curious, stay observant, and remember, the next $1,000,000 discovery might already belong to you. That if you want to continue learning how everyday coins turn into extraordinary wealth, make sure you stay connected. Imagine this: a single quarter, not a gold bar, not a winning lottery ticket. A quarter you may have held in your hand, spent on coffee, or tossed into a glove compartment without a second thought. Now imagine that quarter being worth $1.3 million. That is not hype. That is not fantasy. That is the hidden story of the 1986 Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin. And if that sentence just made your heart beat a little faster, stay with me, because what you are about to hear could permanently change how you look at your pocket change. Let me ask you a question before we go any further. If a stranger offered to buy your spare change for $1,000,000, would you laugh? Or would you start digging through your drawers? Because somewhere in America, someone did exactly that, and they never laughed again. Welcome to a story about fear, opportunity, and the quiet power of knowledge. This is not just about coins. This is about wealth hiding in plain sight. Act 1. The ordinary that was never ordinary. The year is 1986. Ronald Reagan is president. Gas is cheap by today's standards. The U.S. Mint is striking millions of Washington quarters for everyday use. These coins are not meant to be special. They are designed to be spent, lost, scratched, forgotten. The Philadelphia Mint produces the 1986 Washington quarter in massive numbers. On the surface, it looks identical to countless other quarters. George Washington's familiar profile. The eagle on the reverse. Nothing flashy, nothing suspicious, and that is exactly why this story begins with danger, because the most valuable coins in America rarely announce themselves. They hide in coffee cans, in old cigar boxes, in sock drawers, in estate sales, in rolls from the bank, in pockets. And that is where fear comes in. Fear of missing out. Fear that you already had one and spent it. Fear that right now, $1,000,000 coin is sitting somewhere within arm's reach and you do not know it yet. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people who become wealthy through rare coins do not start rich. They start curious. And curiosity is exactly what turns an ordinary quarter into a life-altering discovery. Now let me interrupt this moment with a little humor, because we all need it. Have you ever ignored loose change because it jingled too much in your pocket? Imagine explaining to your spouse that the coin you left in the car cup holder could have paid off the house. That conversation does not end well. But here is the twist. Not every 1986 quarter is valuable. And this is where the story sharpens. Act 2. The secret that separates the spenders from the sellers. Somewhere inside the 1986 Mint Mark production run, mistakes happened. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes are not accidents. They are opportunities. Rare error coins from 1986 exist that exhibit extraordinary characteristics. Striking anomalies. Transitional metal issues. Extreme die errors. Off-metal strikes. Double dies so subtle the untrained eye misses them completely. And when one of these rare examples appears in pristine condition, certified by a major grading service, the market reacts with explosive force. One such coin shocked collectors when it reached a valuation of $1.3 million. Not because it was old, not because it was gold, but because it was wrong in exactly the right way. This is where excitement kicks in, because unlike ancient coins locked away in museums, these quarters were released into circulation, which means they were handled, spent, mixed, lost, which means the supply is not controlled, which means there is still a chance. Now let me slow this down, because this next part is where people either lean forward or miss everything. Here is how you identify what matters. First, the mint mark. You are looking for 8p mint mark below Washington's neck. Philadelphia issues from this era are notorious for quality control inconsistencies. Second, the strike quality. Does Washington's hair look unusually sharp or strangely soft? Do the letters show doubling or thickness? Do the edges look wrong for a standard copper nickel-clad quarter? Third, the weight. This is where people get uncomfortable because it requires effort. A rare off-metal error will not weigh what it should. A simple digital scale can expose something extraordinary. Fourth, the surface. Look for unusual texture, mirrored fields, or evidence the coin was struck more than once. This is not damage. This is mint behavior frozen in time. Now here comes the cliffhanger. Because even if you find all of this, it still might not be worth millions. Condition. And this is where urgency enters the room. A flawless coin tells a different story than a worn one. Every scratch is a deduction. Every fingerprint is money erased. Which means if you think you have something rare, handling it incorrectly could destroy its value before you even realize what you had. That is not drama. That is reality. Let me ask you something. Enough to make professional collectors lose sleep. But stay with me, because we are about to connect this to something bigger than coins. Act 3. From spare change to wealth strategy. The reason the 1986p Washington quarter matters is not just because of its potential price tag. It matters because it exposes a truth most people ignore. Wealth is often quiet before it is loud. The people who build wealth through rare coins are not gamblers. They are observers. They understand that markets reward patience, knowledge, and timing. And timing is everything right now. Interest in rare U.S. coins is surging. Collectors aged 30 to 70 are re-entering the market with disposable income and nostalgia. Auction records are being broken. High-end coins are becoming alternative assets, which means the window is open. But windows do not stay open forever. You find a 1986p quarter that checks multiple boxes. You resist the urge to celebrate. You do not clean it. You do not post it online asking strangers for opinions. You do not rush. Instead, you protect it. You verify it. You submit it for professional grading. And then the story changes. Now you are not someone with spare change. You are someone holding leverage, and leverage creates options. Options to sell, options to wait, options to upgrade your life quietly while everyone else keeps spinning their quarters. Here is another pattern interrupt, because this needs to be said plainly. Most millionaires are not flashy. They are prepared. The flash comes later. Now here is the final cliffhanger. There are still rolls of 1986p quarters sitting in old collections, forgotten bank boxes, and inherited estates. No announcement was ever made. No recall happened. No list exists, which means the next major discovery could already exist, and the only thing separating it from the marketplace is awareness. So here is the real question. Because history has already shown what happens when knowledge meets patience. And the 1986p Washington quarter is not finished telling its story. It may just be waiting to tell it to you. If this changed the way you think about your change, do not ignore that feeling. Curiosity is how every great discovery begins. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a coin you have seen 1,000 times before. Now imagine discovering that same coin could be worth $1.2 million. Not in theory. Not in fantasy. In the real U.S. coin market today. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you are going to learn why the 1995 Mint Mark Washington quarter is quietly rewriting the rules of American coin collecting. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Someone, somewhere, has already spent one of these coins without realizing what it was worth. The real question is not whether this coin exists. The real question is whether you already have one. Most people think wealth arrives loudly. But in the world of rare coins, wealth whispers. This is not a video about ordinary quarters. This is a story about overlooked history, hidden mistakes, and a coin that turned pocket change into generational money. And yes, before you ask, people laughed at this coin too. Right up until auction houses stopped laughing. Gas was cheap. The stock market felt unstoppable, and the U.S. Mint was producing millions of Washington quarters every single day. The Denver Mint struck over hundreds of millions of quarters that year. That is where the story takes a sharp turn. Because rarity in coin collecting is not always about low production. Sometimes it is about something far more dangerous: mistakes, errors, and moments when the system quietly fails. The 1995 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how a tiny flaw can create massive value. And here is the chilling part. These coins were released into circulation. They were not recalled. They were not destroyed. They were spent. That means this is not a museum coin. This is a pocket change coin. Which brings us to the first cliffhanger. Let us slow down here, because this is where people either get rich or miss everything. The high-value 1995 Washington quarters are not normal. Double die obverse details, so subtle, most people miss them completely off. Metal strikes that should never have passed inspection. Planchet errors involving the wrong metal composition. Misaligned dies that distort Washington's profile in unmistakable ways. Now here is where fear kicks in. Because these errors are not obvious at first glance. You could hold one of these coins in your hand and never know what you are looking at, probably more than we want to admit. Collectors who recognized these errors early were not lucky, they were informed. And information is the most valuable currency of all. Let me ask you something. Exactly. Most people rush through money like it has no memory, but coins remember everything. Now here is something most videos will not tell you. Condition matters, but error matters more. A circulated error coin can outperform a pristine normal coin every single time. And when certified by professional grading services, the value jumps dramatically. Which leads to a shocking market reality. In the early 2000s, these quarters were ignored. Collectors focused on silver, older dates, and flashy rarities. Meanwhile, error specialists quietly accumulated 1995 D quarters. Then the auctions began. When the first verified specimen crossed six figures, people paid attention. When another crossed $500,000, people panicked. And when a top-tier example approached $1.2 million, the market changed forever. Suddenly, everyone wanted what they had ignored for decades. Prices did not rise gradually. They surged. This is how wealth transfers happen. Not loudly, not publicly, but decisively. And here is the uncomfortable truth. The market does not wait for latecomers. It rewards those who act before the crowd arrives. So now comes the question that determines everything. First, check the mint mark. Look on the obverse side, just below Washington's ponytail. You are looking for 8D.NOD, no deal. Next, inspect Washington's face and lettering. Look for doubling in the eyes, the word liberty, and the date. Use magnification. Your phone camera is enough to start. Then examine the coin's alignment. Trust your instincts that if something looks strange, it probably is. Now a quick humorous reset. Because this part matters. If your quarter looks like it survived a lawn mower, congratulations. But no, damage is not an error. Collectors pay for mistakes made at the mint, not accidents in your driveway. If you suspect you have a real error, do not clean it, ever. Cleaning destroys value faster than ignorance. Instead, protect it, document it, and seek professional authentication. Because here is the final cliffhanger. The difference between a quarter worth 25 cents and one worth $1.2 million is often knowledge and patience. This is not just about one coin. This is about how wealth hides in plain sight. Every generation has stories of people who threw away what others retired on. Not be that story. Coin collecting is no longer just a hobby. It is a strategy. A strategy that rewards awareness, discipline, and action. The people living wealthy lifestyles from coins today are not gamblers. They are observers. They pay attention when others rush, and they act when others doubt. So before you spend your next quarter, pause. Because history does not always come wrapped in gold. Sometimes it comes disguised as change. The 1995 D Washington quarter market is not slowing down. Collectors are searching, auction houses are watching, and supply is disappearing. Once these coins are locked into collections, they do not come back. If you have old quarters, now is the time to look. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now. Because the difference between financial regret and financial freedom could already be sitting in a jar, a drawer, or your pocket. And the only thing more painful than missing $1 million coin. Imagine this for a moment. You stop at a gas station. You buy a cup of coffee. The cashier hands you back your change. A quarter lands in your palm. You drop it into your pocket without thinking twice. But what if that ordinary-looking quarter was worth $1.3 million? That is not fantasy. That is not hype. That is the real story of the 2021 P Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin. Today, I am going to walk you through why this coin has shocked collectors, stunned dealers, and quietly changed lives. And by the end of this video, you may never look at your pocket change the same way again. Because the truth is unsettling. Some people have already found this coin. Some people have already sold it. And some people unknowingly spent it for 25 cents. Let me ask you a serious question. If $1 million opportunity was sitting in your house right now, would you recognize it? Or would you give it away? Stay with me. Because what you are about to hear could change how you see money. Forever. Brief pause. Now before you think this is just another exaggerated coin story, let me be very clear. This video is not about hope. It is about knowledge. And knowledge is the difference between wealth and regret. The Washington quarter has been part of American history since 1932. Most people see it as ordinary, familiar, Forgettable. That is exactly why the most valuable examples hide in plain sight. The 2021 P Mint Mark Washington quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint during a time of extreme disruption. Labor shortages, rushed production schedules, increased demand for coinage, and when systems are rushed, mistakes happen, rare mistakes, the kind that turn pocket change into generational wealth. Now here is the first cliffhanger. Not every 2021 P Washington quarter is valuable. Most are worth face value, but a tiny fraction are worth more than most homes in America. So what separates the 25-cent coin from the $1.3 million coin? We will get there. But first, you need to understand why collectors are paying these prices. Let us talk about demand. High-level collectors are not just buying coins. They are buying perfection, rarity, and history frozen in metal. The most valuable 2021 P Washington quarters share three critical traits: ultra-low survival numbers, exceptional strike quality, and rare minting anomalies. Some of these coins show dramatic die errors. Others show nearly flawless surfaces that should not exist given the conditions under which they were produced. Coins graded at the absolute top of the scale, with rare errors combined with pristine condition, have become the crown jewels of modern coin collecting. And here is where excitement meets fear. Because these coins were released into circulation, they were not locked away in vaults. They were not sold directly to collectors. They were spent. That means the $1,000,000 coin could be in a drawer, a jar, a glove compartment, or already sitting in your collection, overlooked. Quick humorous reset. Funny how we check our lottery tickets twice, but we never check our change once. Now let me explain the specific features that serious collectors are hunting for. First, the mint mark. The P Mint mark indicates Philadelphia. That matters because certain production runs from this mint show unique characteristics not seen elsewhere. Second, striking anomalies. Look for unusual doubling in lettering, especially on In God We Trust and Liberty. Some coins show subtle but powerful doubling that dramatically increases value. Third, planchet and die errors. These include off-center strikes, weak rims paired with strong central detail, or unusual surface textures that indicate die fatigue or improper metal preparation. And now the most important part. Condition. A 2021 P Washington quarter with an error in poor condition might be worth a few $100s. But the same error in near-perfect condition can cross into six figures or more, and in extremely rare cases, combined with the right characteristics, the value has reached $1.3 million. Pause. Let that number sink in. Point one coin, point one quarter, point one decision to look closer. Now here is the part most people do not like hearing. Time is working against you. Every year, more of these coins are damaged, spent, cleaned, or lost. Every year, the number of top-quality examples shrinks. Collectors know this. Investors know this. Auction houses know this. That is why prices are climbing. And that is why urgency matters. Because the difference between finding one today and finding one 5 years from now could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here is another cliffhanger. Some people who discovered these coins early did not sell them. They waited, and in doing so, they watched their coin double and sometimes triple in value. So the real question is not just how much is it worth today, it is how much could it be worth tomorrow. Now we move into the final act. The part where information becomes action. That if you are serious about selling old and rare coins, especially coins that could change your lifestyle, you must approach this like a professional. First, never clean a coin. Cleaning destroys value. Instantly. Permanently. Second, proper authentication is essential. A coin is only worth $1.3 million if the market trusts it. That means professional grading from a respected service. Third, understand the power of patience. The most successful collectors are not impulsive. They wait for the right moment, the right buyer, and the right market conditions. Here is a powerful truth. Wealth is rarely loud. It is quiet. It hides in overlooked places, like a quarter sitting in a coffee can. Short humorous reset. If money could talk, some of these coins would be screaming, "Please stop ignoring me." As we come to the end of this video, I want you to think about something deeply. Millions of people handle coins every day. Only a few ever become wealthy from them. The difference is not luck. It is awareness. The 2021 P Mint Mark Washington quarter has already proven that modern coins can create life-changing wealth. The only question left is this: because somewhere, right now, a $1.3 million quarter is waiting. and it does not care who finds it. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a coin so ordinary that you have ignored it for decades. Now imagine learning that this same coin has sold for $1.4 million. Not a gold bar, not a rare ancient artifact, not a Washington quarter. Today, we are uncovering the true story behind the 1989 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin. A coin hiding in plain sight. A coin that has quietly changed lives, and a coin that could still be sitting in someone's desk drawer, coffee jar, or inherited collection right now. If you have ever wondered whether ordinary people really do stumble into extraordinary wealth, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you will never look at your spare change the same way again. And here is the unsettling part. Some people have already spent this coin on coffee. In 1989, America was busy. The stock market was humming. The Cold War was thawing. People were thinking about the future, not about quarters. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of Washington quarters that year. Most entered circulation immediately. They paid for parking meters, vending machines, toll booths, and pay phones. Nothing about the 1989 P quarter looked special to the average person. No silver, no commemorative design. Just George Washington staring forward, as he had done for decades. Collectors at the time barely paid attention. And that is exactly why this coin became dangerous. Because history shows us something powerful. The most valuable coins are often the ones no one bothered to save. Here is the first hard truth. Scarcity is not always about low mintage. It is about survival. Millions were made. Almost none were preserved perfectly. And perfection is where the money lies. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself this simple question. How many coins have passed through your hands without a second glance? Probably thousands. That uncomfortable feeling you just felt is fear. And fear is useful when it wakes you up. Collectors decades later began noticing something strange. Finding a 1989 P Washington quarter in pristine condition was nearly impossible. Not good condition, not decent condition, perfect condition. And then the rumors started. Coins graded at the absolute top level were selling for staggering sums. Auction houses went quiet before the hammer fell. Then jaws dropped. One coin crossed into seven-figure territory. $1.4 million for a quarter. Let me ask you something, and be honest. If you found a quarter worth $1.4 million, would you even know it before spending it? Most people would not. And that is what makes this story so urgent. But we are just getting started, because Act 2 is where the truth gets uncomfortable. Here is where excitement replaces disbelief. The value of the 1989 P Washington quarter comes down to three critical forces working together: condition, minting anomalies, and collector psychology. Let us connect the dots. First, condition. The top graded examples of this coin are graded at the highest level achievable. These coins show razor-sharp details, original luster untouched by circulation, no wear on Washington's cheek, no flattening on the eagle's feathers, no marks in the fields. In plain language, these coins look as if they were struck yesterday. And here is the cruel irony. The Philadelphia Mint did not handle coins gently in 1989. Bag marks were common. Contact marks were unavoidable. Finding a flawless survivor is like finding a needle in a haystack that is on fire. Second, minting anomalies. Some of the most valuable examples show subtle but powerful anomalies. Extra sharp strikes, unusual die characteristics, microscopic details that separate a normal coin from a legendary one. The untrained eye. These differences are invisible. Elite collectors. They are everything. And that leads to the third force, collector psychology. High-end collectors do not buy coins. They buy status. Owning the finest known example of a coin is like owning the top floor of a skyscraper. No one else can have it. That exclusivity creates bidding wars. Bidding wars create records. Records create million-dollar results. This is why one 1989 P quarter can be worth face value while another is worth more than most homes. Before you laugh, remember this. Many of the most valuable coins ever discovered were found by people who were not collectors. They were inheritors, estate cleaners, retirees sorting through old boxes, people just like you. And this is where urgency enters the room, because coins degrade over time if stored improperly. Humidity, improper handling, cleaning. Yes, cleaning. If you clean this coin, you could erase 6 figures in value in seconds. That mistake has already happened more times than anyone wants to admit. Quick humorous reality check that if someone ever told you to polish your coins, they were not helping you get rich. They were helping you get poor faster. Now stay with me. Because Act 3 is where action meets opportunity. This is the moment everything comes together. If you own a 1989 P Washington quarter, here is what separates the wealthy sellers from the regretful spenders. First, identification. Look for the P mint mark located on the obverse of the coin. Inspect the surfaces under proper lighting. Look for sharp detail and original shine. If the coin looks unusually clean for its age, do not celebrate. Yet to be cautious. Second, protection. Do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not test it with household tools. Place it in a soft holder and keep it dry. Third, verification. Professional grading is non-negotiable at this level. A top-tier grading service is the gatekeeper between a quarter and $1 million. Without authentication, value is just a story. With authentication, value becomes reality. Now here is the emotional shift. Imagine sitting across from an auction representative who confirms that your coin is one of the finest known. Your heart speeds up. Your hands feel light. You realize that a piece of metal you ignored for years just rewrote your financial future. This is not fantasy. This has already happened. Collectors have paid $1.4 million for this exact coin in elite condition. And markets are driven by one brutal truth. Top coins do not get cheaper as wealth increases. Competition increases as competition increases, prices climb. Which brings us to the final question. If you knew that a single quarter could fund your retirement, your family, and the lifestyle you deserve, would you still ignore your change? Because opportunity does not announce itself loudly. It whispers, and sometimes it sounds like a coin hitting the bottom of a jar. If this video opened your eyes, stay alert. The next coin we reveal could be even more valuable, and it might already be in your pocket. Imagine holding a quarter in your hand. Not a gold bar, not a stock certificate, just a simple 25-cent coin. Now imagine discovering that the very coin you almost ignored could be worth $1.5 million. Before you dismiss that idea, let me ask you something. How many times have you emptied your pockets without looking twice, dropped change into a jar paid at a gas station, or handed a quarter to a grandchild? Today's story is not about fantasy. It is about the 2016 P mint mark. Roosevelt $quarter coin, a modern coin, a misunderstood coin, and for a tiny number of people, a life-changing coin. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may never look at your pocket change the same way again. In 2016, America was busy. The economy was moving. People were focused on elections, headlines, and everyday life. Meanwhile, quietly and without fanfare, the United States Mint in Philadelphia released millions of Roosevelt $quarter coins. No announcement, no warning, no promise of riches, just metal, just history, just potential hiding in plain sight. Most people treated these quarters like any other. Spend it, drop it, forget it. And that is exactly why the opportunity was created. History shows us something powerful. The most valuable coins are rarely obvious at the time they are released. They become valuable later because of mistakes, because of rarity, because of unusual characteristics, and because most people never bothered to look closely. Let me tell you a quick truth. That makes many collectors uncomfortable. Million-dollar coins are not found by lucky people. They are found by prepared people. And preparation begins with awareness. Let me ask you a slightly uncomfortable question. Pause on that thought. Because the 2016 P Roosevelt quarter belongs to a category collectors call modern sleepers, coins that appear ordinary but contain extraordinary value potential, and the fear is real because once the market recognizes them, they disappear from circulation. Forever. Now you might be thinking, wait a second, how could a modern quarter be worth millions? Good question. Let's move deeper. The 2016 P Roosevelt quarter is not valuable because it is old. It is valuable because it is rare in the right way. Collectors are not just looking for age anymore. They are hunting precision. Mint anomalies. Ultra-specific die characteristics. Production irregularities that should not exist. And here is where excitement starts to build. A tiny fraction of these coins were struck under conditions that produced extreme rarity, unique strike, quality, subtle but unmistakable features, characteristics that separate a common coin from a historic one. These are the kinds of details that grading services obsess over and wealthy collectors compete for. Here is the important part. Only a handful of confirmed examples exist in elite condition, and when one surfaced with the right attributes, the market responded aggressively. Private sales, high-end collector negotiations, whispers instead of headlines, and the value settled around $1.5 million. Let that number sink in. A quarter that once bought a gumball now commands the price of a luxury home. Here is where urgency kicks in. The supply is not growing. It is shrinking. Every day these coins remain undiscovered. They are scratched, damaged, spent, lost, and once damaged, the value is gone forever. This is why serious collectors inspect everything, even modern coins, especially modern coins. Now, let me reset your attention for a second with something honest and slightly humorous. Most people will spend more time choosing a pizza topping than examining the money they already own, and that single habit separates dreamers from discoverers. You learn what to look for if you are holding a 2016 P. Roosevelt quarter. Here is what matters. First, condition is everything. Coins that achieve extraordinary value are often nearly flawless. Sharp detail, strong strike, no visible wear, no damage. Second, mint origin matters. The P mint mark means Philadelphian collectors know exactly why that matters for this issue. Third, anomalies are king. Subtle variations that separate ordinary coins from extraordinary ones, things the average person never notices, but professionals instantly recognize. This is where fear and excitement collide. Fear because you might already have had one and never checked. Excitement because you still might, and here is the cliffhanger most people are not prepared for. Many valuable coins are not found by professional dealers. They are found by everyday people, retirees, veterans, working Americans, people who simply decided to look closer, people exactly like you. This is not gambling. This is education meeting opportunity. And let me be clear and authoritative here. If you believe wealth only comes from salaries or savings accounts, you've been taught a very limited version of financial reality. Collectors understand something different. History has value. Rarity has value. Knowledge multiplies value. And the moment you recognize what you are holding, you move from spender to owner, from consumer to investor. Here is the most important question I can leave you with. What else is hiding in your home, your drawers, your jars, your pockets? And what would change in your life if one discovery paid off your house, funded your retirement, or created generational wealth? In the next videos, we will uncover more modern coins, more overlooked issues, more silent million-dollar opportunities still hiding in circulation. So, before you walk away, check your change, subscribe, and stay alert, because the next quarter you touch might not be worth 25 cents. It might be worth $1.5 million, and missing that opportunity is far more expensive than taking a closer look. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a quarter, and unknowingly holding a coin worth $1.6 million. Not a gold bar, not a lottery ticket. A quarter. Before you dismiss that idea, ask yourself something honestly. When was the last time you really looked at your spare change? Most people don't. And that is exactly why fortunes remain hidden. Today's story begins in 2014, inside the walls of the United States Mint, where millions of Everglades quarter-dollar coins were produced. They were meant to be ordinary, spendable, forgettable. But one specific version of this coin broke every rule of ordinary. The 2014 P Mint mark Everglades quarter-dollar. And somewhere out there, one of these coins changed the definition of wealth forever. Now here is the uncomfortable truth. Every day that passes, these coins quietly disappear into collections, vaults, and private hands. And every year, fewer remain in circulation. That means urgency, because the coin sitting in your drawer does not announce itself. It waits, silently, patiently, and if you miss it, someone else will not. Quick question before we continue. Have you ever thrown coins into a jar without checking them first? Congratulations. You are normal. Also, congratulations. That habit may have cost people millions, but not you. Not today, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly why one 2014 P Everglades quarter has been valued at $1.6 million, how to identify the signs, and what separates a common quarter from a life-changing asset. And here comes the cliffhanger. The feature that made this coin legendary is something most people accidentally destroy while cleaning coins. In 2014, the Everglades quarter was released as part of the America the Beautiful series. On the surface, it honored Florida's wetlands, wildlife, and natural heritage. Millions were struck. Most are worth face value. But hidden among them were extremely rare strike anomalies and condition anomalies that collectors would later describe as once in a generation. This is where fear enters the story, because these valuable coins were not announced. There was no press release, no warning label. They were mixed in with normal quarters and sent into circulation like wolves among sheep. The most valuable known 2014 P Everglades quarter reached a market valuation of $1.6 million due to a perfect storm of factors. First, the mint mark. The P mint mark from Philadelphia is common, but not when paired with elite errors and near-perfect preservation. Second, the strike quality. Certain examples exhibit extreme die abnormalities, including doubled design elements, abnormal, rim formation, and micro-level design distortions that can only occur during rare minting failures. Third, condition. And this is where most people lose everything. The million-dollar coin exists in a state so pristine that even seasoned collectors describe it as unnatural. No circulation wear, no cleaning marks, no damage, which raises an uncomfortable question. How many people unknowingly cleaned a rare quarter, thinking they were improving it, while actually destroying its value forever? That sound you hear is opportunity quietly screaming that let's pause for a second and reset your attention. If a stranger offered you a dusty coin and said it might be worth $1, would you look twice? Now imagine that same coin was worth more than most homes. Suddenly, dust doesn't matter anymore. Back to the Everglades quarter. Collectors discovered that some 2014 P coins showed extraordinary minting defects that escaped quality control. These defects were not replicated in later strikes, making them impossible to recreate. Once collectors realized how rare these examples were, demand exploded. Auction rooms went silent, bidding escalated, records were shattered. And then it happened: a verified 2014 P Everglades quarter with extraordinary mint characteristics and elite grading reached an estimated $1.6 million valuation in private collector markets. This moment, the coin crossed a line. It was no longer currency. It became legacy wealth. Here is the next cliffhanger. There are experts who believe more of these coins still exist in everyday collections, mislabeled, misidentified, or ignored, which means the story is not over. It might just be beginning in your home. Now let's talk about identification, because hope without knowledge is just wishful thinking. If you own a 2014 Everglades quarter with a P mint mark, the first rule is simple: do not clean it, do not polish it, do not rub it. Every scratch removes dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands of them. Instead, look closely. Check the details of the Everglades design. Look for unusual doubling, abnormal depth, misaligned elements, or oddly shaped rims. Then examine the surface quality. Million-dollar coins often appear almost frozen in time, with razor-sharp details and original mint luster. If your heart starts beating faster, that's normal. Fear and excitement usually arrive together when opportunity knocks. Now here is the authoritative truth. Selling a coin like this is not about rushing to the nearest pawn shop. It is about professional grading, authentication, and controlled exposure to serious collectors. The people who profit are not lucky. They are prepared, and preparation is exactly what separates those who dream of wealth from those who quietly step into it. Ask yourself one final question. Most people would panic. Smart people pause. Wealthy people act strategically. This channel exists for one reason: to turn overlooked change into life-altering knowledge. Because somewhere between your couch cushions and your coin jars, history may be waiting. And history does not wait forever. If this story made you nervous, excited, or curious, that is good. That feeling means you are paying attention. And attention is where wealth begins. The next coin you ignore could be the one that changes everything. So before you spend another quarter, look at it. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often just one moment of awareness. Imagine this for a moment. You are holding a quarter, not a gold bar, not a stock certificate, just a regular 25-cent coin. Now imagine discovering that this exact coin could be worth $1.7 million. And here is the part that should stop you cold. Most people who own this coin already spent it. Gas station coffee, vending machine snacks, parking meters, gone forever. Welcome to a story about the 2003 P Missouri $quarter coin. A coin that quietly slipped into circulation and now sits at the center of one of the most exciting discoveries in modern coin collecting. Stay with me, because before this video ends, you will know exactly how to identify this coin, how much it can sell for, and how close you might be to a life-changing moment. And yes, this is one of those videos where checking your pocket at the end is not optional. Quick question before we continue. When was the last time you actually looked at a quarter instead of spending it? In 2003, the United States Mint released the Missouri State Quarter as part of the wildly popular 50 State Quarters program. Millions were minted, millions were spent, millions were ignored at first glance. The Missouri Quarter looked ordinary. Lewis and Clark. The gateway arched the Mississippi River flowing calmly across the design. Nothing screamed millionaire. And that is precisely why this story is so dangerous. Because hidden inside ordinary releases is where the most valuable coins are born. Most people believe million-dollar coins are ancient, gold, or locked behind museum glass. That belief is costing people fortunes. Because the rarest coins are often not rare by design. They are rare by mistake. And the 2003 Missouri Quarter is a perfect example. But before we reveal the error that changed everything, let me ask you something uncomfortable. If you once owned $1 million coin and spent it without knowing, would you ever forgive yourself? That thought alone has caused more collectors to pause this video than you can imagine. Now let us move forward. Here is where the story takes a sharp turn. Several years after the Missouri Quarter entered circulation, collectors began noticing something strange. Certain 2003 Missouri Quarters looked different, not damaged, not worn. Different. The details were sharper in some areas and distorted in others. The surface had unusual textures. The strike looked wrong, yet somehow perfect. And then the rumors began. Mint error forums, collector meetings, private auctions, coins with specific minting anomalies started surfacing. And when one of these coins was professionally graded and authenticated, the collecting world went silent. Because the estimated market value was staggering up to $1.7 million. Yes, for a quarter. This is the moment where skeptics usually laugh. So let us address that. If you are thinking this sounds crazy, good. That reaction is normal. Every major coin discovery in history was laughed at first. The 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die, the 1974 aluminum cent, all dismissed until they were not. And now the Missouri Quarter has joined that list. But here is the critical part. Not every 2003 Missouri Quarter is valuable. Only a very specific type. And this is where attention matters. Take a deep breath, because this is where fortunes are made or lost. First, the mint mark. You are looking for the P mint mark, meaning Philadelphia NOP, no jackpot. Second, the strike quality. The ultra-valuable Missouri Quarters show signs of rare mint errors such as misaligned dies, doubled elements, unusual die polishing lines, or abnormal metal flow. Now check the reverse, the river lines, the figures of Lewis and Clark. Anything that feels off should not be dismissed. Here is a simple rule. Ordinary coins look boring. Extraordinary coins make you stop and stare. And here is the mistake most people make. They self-diagnose. Never do that. If you believe you have a rare Missouri Quarter, professional grading is not optional. It is mandatory. Because $1 million coin without certification is just a conversation piece. With certification, it becomes a financial instrument. Now let me reset your attention for a second. If a quarter is worth $1.7 million, how many quarters do you think you have touched in your lifetime? Exactly. Now let us talk about something even more important. Time is the enemy of rare coin owners. Why? Because the market moves quietly. When collectors start locking these coins into private vaults, availability drops. And when availability drops, access disappears. Coins that once appeared in auctions stop showing up, prices jump, and those who waited are left watching headlines instead of cashing checks. Right now, the estimated market value for top-grade verified examples of the rare 2003 Missouri Quarter sits around $1.7 million. But markets do not announce their next move. They whisper. And by the time everyone hears it, it is already too late. This is not fear-mongering. This is history. Now imagine explaining to your family that you once owned a life-changing coin and never checked it. That is not regret. That is legacy loss. But we are not done yet, because the final act changes everything. Here is the truth most people never hear. Wealth is not always earned through hard labor. sometimes it is discovered. Coin collecting is one of the last remaining spaces where ordinary people can still uncover extraordinary value without insider access. No hedge fund required. No political connections. Just knowledge and attention. The 2003 P Missouri quarter is not just a coin. It is a reminder that history, money, and opportunity often sit unnoticed until someone decides to look closer. And today, that someone could be you. So here is what I want you to do after this video ends. Check your change. Check old jars. Check inherited collections. Check everything. And if you think you have something unusual, do not delay. Get it authenticated, get it graded, get it protected, because coins like this do not wait. And neither does opportunity. Point one final question before we part. If this video opened your eyes, stay with this channel, because this is where hidden wealth gets revealed, and the next coin we uncover might be even closer to you than you think. Sometimes,